You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we have a very special guest. Monique Melton is my guest. She's a marketing person. She's a personal coach. She is a reinventor of herself, and if you let her, of you as well. A wonderful person full of determination and destiny. We're going to talk to Monique Melton when we come back. You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10.
Why smart people buy their used cars from Jack Fitzgerald. Reason number 1.
The most important reason to buy a car from us is our 138-point inspection report. We check the car out thoroughly, and we put a copy of that report in your glove compartment so that you know as much about that car as we do before you buy it.
Shop our entire used car inventory at fitzmall.com.
And that's the Fitz way. There's just no better way to go.
Changing times brings changing needs. That's why, for your convenience, Booth's Heating and Air have extended their service hours to 10 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, at regular service rates. Through rigorous training classes and courteous business practices, Booth's technicians always go above and beyond to provide you with award-winning customer service that you can trust. Booth's Heating and Air, serving the Southern Maryland area since 1993.
You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10. Thanks so much for joining us. My guest today, Monique Melton. Monique, it's nice to have you on the program.
I'm so excited to be here.
You know, this program is all about introducing to our community people that live within our community that do things to better the world at large, usually starting within our community and branching out. And I'd really like to introduce you to our community because you have such a vision for yourself and for the community to really embrace what you have and make it bigger and better. A lot of the times when I have women on GAB with ALisa, they have come from these really dynamic working backgrounds. First woman to go through the Naval Academy class, wow. The first woman who's a dean of a school, these types of women. And what I have discovered through these conversations is we all have these things in common where we are incredibly talented in the fields that we choose. You choose to be an incredibly strong mom. You have this incredible professional background as well, but you've made some choices that being a mom is your foremost pursuit, if you will, but you're able to do things on the other side. And I think we were talking off camera before, this is an amazing time to be a woman.
It is.
You don't have to choose this or that.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do only this or only that. And you really have managed to find a nice blend to raise your children and do some things professionally and for the community as well.
Absolutely.
So having said all of that, let's introduce you a little bit, talk a little bit about where you come from and how you got here to St. Mary's County.
Okay, perfect. Well, I got here to St. Mary's County when I married my amazing husband. I was a junior in high school or college when I married him. And we moved to the East Coast and have been on the East Coast ever since. I remember driving here, and I came from the city in the Midwest, and I'm thinking, when are we going to see, when are we going to see a store to shop, where we're going to see? And we've been here ever since, and this is home, and this has definitely been a wonderful place for us to grow, better. As a married couple, as a man and woman in our own rights, and just connecting with people who really love us. I thank God that we moved here.
Absolutely. Well, you've made some really, I guess they could be classified as unusual choices along the steps to your journey, because you mentioned that you got married as a junior in college.
Yeah.
That's unusual. A lot of people say after college or before college.
Right. And I would actually say yes, after college, because but you couldn't tell me anything when I was a junior in college. I've been dating him since high school, and I knew I was going to be with him for the rest of my life, so why not do it now? But it made finishing up college a little more challenging because you have more responsibilities, versus being in school. That's your main focus. But deciding to marry the love of my life and then moving to the East Coast where we didn't know a single person, not even one. Mm-hmm. And it forced us, which is nice because I am a people person. I love getting with people and getting to know them, but it forced you to step outside of a comfort zone that you may have created for yourself, because you have to make friends, you have to connect, and that's what I did. I remember when we were in Virginia, and I was desperate to make friends, and so I would just go up to just talk to people. Like in the store, I would just talk to them. And it was one store in particular that I frequent all the time, to the point where they became my friends. And they threw me a 21st birthday, because that's what I did, getting out, meeting people. And the same thing here. My best friend, I met her. The first time we met, I said, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" That's how you have to put yourself out there to make those connections with people.
Now, you made an interesting statement, which I think really defines who you are, because as I mentioned, you've made some unusually dramatic choices. You said sometimes you have to get out of the comfort zone that you've created yourself.
Yeah.
And I want to go piece by piece, because you've made a lot of, I'm going to go this way, wait. I'm going to go this way, wait. I'm going to go this way decisions. You talked, I want to talk about what you said about getting married as a junior in college. In hindsight, what advice would you give to young people if they're considering that, and why? Because you have experience to speak to that.
I will say that, one, you have to listen to yourself. And what I did, and I do not regret marrying my husband, because I really listened to myself. And by that I mean I silenced the other opinions and really ask myself, what is it that I want? And what is it that I want to do to get there? And so I knew marrying him was the choice for me. Now, looking back, what I should have done is given myself a little more time to get what I wanted. And so I didn't think about the ramifications that would happen after getting married, of having to be in a place where you don't know anyone and having a place to live and you're having bills to pay and things like that. If I had thought more about some of those things, I probably would have decided, let me go ahead and finish up with this chapter and move on to the next. But I think about it often and I'm like, I wouldn't have met these people, I wouldn't have met this, I wouldn't have done this. So it really does work in the big scheme of things. But for a young person that's considering getting married, before they're finishing school, just really think about, once you're in the married world, the responsibilities that you have. You're not living on campus anymore. You have to live in an apartment or a house. You have other things to do. So I would say just give yourself more time. There's no hurry to get started with life. I think I was just so anxious to get busy with, having a life, that really I was already living a life. So that's what I would say, is just give yourself time.
I like that. I think that's really good advice. It's not exclusive or inclusive. You're not saying my way was the best way, but you're saying you made, with the information you had, a really good decision knowing who you were.
Right.
Now you would do it differently now because it created a path, but almost you wouldn't do it differently because it created a path.
So,
well, you have gone through an evolution in your life. The next evolution after getting married so young is that you pursued makeup artistry. Talk a little bit about that.
So that really fell in my lap. Long story short, I was doing makeup for someone. I fell in love with it. I said, this is exactly what I want to do. And from a number of being at the right places at the right time, I was able to be working in the industry, traveling, doing makeup for shows and competitions and commercial work, and I loved it. But we moved, so it was like I had to start all over again, because it was a new market, a new industry here. And I found that I was doing more wedding makeup, which I absolutely love weddings. It's just such an amazing time in your life. And so I did that, and as well as while I was doing that, I was also working with my degree in the mental health field. So I was doing the analytical side and the education and all that great stuff, and then I was doing the creative side, getting that creative outlet, doing a little bit of both. And we were still just married, no kids yet, so it was easier to balance our schedules.
And then, as they say, the blessed event. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in a moment, and we're going to talk about your little man. Having children changes everything. No matter what anybody tells you. Monique has a very funny story about what she thought she was going to do after she had her baby. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back in just a moment as we continue to talk to Monique Melton, a reinventor of her life, a personal coach, and you can tell from her life experience why she might be able to help you with your life experiences. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10.
Life is a journey, Every day is a chance to do more, and be better. Hi, I'm Dawn Campbell. Join me on this journey to be your best, whether you're working in a cubicle, managing a full house, or entering a new chapter of life. If you feel good, you look good, inside and out. Join me each week for Be Your Best on MetroCast Channel 10. We can do it together. Be Your Best is brought to you by Burris's Old Town Insurance, an independent agent representing Erie Insurance Group.
You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10 as we continue our conversation with Monique Melton. We were talking in the last segment, you got married while you were still in college, and then you became a makeup artist, and then you moved to the East Coast, the land of the, oh my gosh, I've never been there before. And things were going well. You were still continuing to pursue your makeup career. And then comes along baby number one.
Yes, comes along baby number one. And when we were here is where I started the makeup career. I finished up my undergrad degree and I decided to go pursue my graduate, my master's degree in clinical counseling. And so I was doing that for about a year, and then we decided we wanted to have a family. We've been married almost 5 years, and we were very happy to go ahead and say, all right, let's do this. And so I was pregnant during the first year of school, a little bit into that first half of it. And then the second year is when I had my son. And I'll never forget, because I had this plan. See, I'm a planner. I'm a very organized, detailed person. And anyone who's had a child knows that nothing goes to plan. And so I'll never forget, I knew I was having a boy. I typed up my birth plan and I had it on a blue piece of paper because blue is for boys. And this was what it was going to be. And the birth experience was completely the complete opposite of what
you had planned.
You know, I read all the books and I thought, okay, I'm not going to have a C-section. No need to read that. Oh, I won't have postpartum. I'm not going to need to read that stuff. I don't need to really know about that because it's not going to happen to me because this is not my plan. This is my plan right here. That's not my plan.
Hey, universe, I got this.
Yeah, you know, so, oh my goodness. He rocked my world, turned it upside down, and I'll never forget saying, you know, I am going to go back. I was due to have him in June, and I was going to go back in July for the semester, and everyone in my class who were, you know, mothers were like, that is not a good idea, don't do that. And I'm like, they don't know. What would they know?
You have a baby, you put him on a schedule, you feed him.
Yeah, I'm going to nurse him every 2 hours, you know, because they're going to be on my schedule. You know, that's going to happen. No, he didn't do that. You know, I think he was broken or something. I didn't need to fix him.
You didn't get him the memo?
Yeah, he didn't get the memo at all. So nothing. He didn't do anything I told him to do. So he just totally changed things. And so I remember when I went back for the semester, it just wore me down. My husband would come during our breaks and bring him so I could nurse him. And nursing is a whole nother story. But I remember just having so much internal turmoil about trying to do this school and also still wanting to do makeup and being this mom. Like, I wanted and still desire to be a very present mom, and I am very intentional about how I care for my children. And so I knew that trying to do all of that wouldn't allow that to happen. So a good friend of mine told me, and I'll never forget this because she's just amazing, but she said, school can wait, but he won't.
Right.
And that just totally put things into perspective for me. And so I decided that, you know what, I'll put school aside for now. So I finished up the 2 years, and I took some time to just figure out, you know, what would make me feel balanced inside. And I know that can be a very just, you know, it's what that looks like for each person is different.
It's an introspective journey.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to open up anything that's deeply personal, but you mentioned something, and I want to talk about it just a little bit. You mentioned postpartum depression. You really struggled with that after your first baby, and I know you blogged about it. You took some time, and the nice thing is you had some mental health training, so you knew what to do to help get yourself healthy.
Yeah, I knew what it looked like, and I knew that it's funny because, or not funny as in laugh funny, because there's nothing funny about a mental illness, but I had learned and read about mental health, and I was practicing in the field, doing psych rehab for children. And so it's one thing to know what it looks like from a book, but to actually experience it for yourself is a completely different thing. And so if I was to ever go back into the field as a counselor or work with women who have postpartum mood disorder, I feel like I would have a much better idea of what they actually struggle with and really have more compassion and be able to connect with them. Not that you have to experience everything to have compassion for people, because then we would all just be a total wreck if we experienced everything in life. But it really helps me understand, you know what, I know what you're going through. I've been there, and this is what you can expect. You can have hope, and this is the steps you can take to get better. This is not your destiny.
And it's not in your mind.
Right.
Let me ask you at this point, because you've made big dramatic choices like we've talked about. When you recognized what you were going through as far as postpartum, you knew you had to put your schooling aside, and that was a good choice for you, and
Absolutely.
it was a well thought out decision, but there's still a little bit of mourning to know that I have to set myself aside so that
Absolutely.
I can devote myself in this new direction. And you had this beautiful new baby, and postpartum is very standard. It's, as we know now, it can be biological and hormonal as well as
Absolutely.
everything else. What piece of advice, or what's the most poignant thing you learned going through that you could share with other moms who may face this in the future or may be facing it now?
I would say, again, silence yourself from other people's opinions, because one thing that was hard for me is I talked about it to people who didn't understand it, and it caused more hurt, and it caused more pain. So when you are what I do is how I explain it is, if you were to be on the operating table and you were getting ready to get surgery, the doctors, they wear gloves and they put all this protective gear to protect your insides, because it's a very vulnerable place. They're not going to let someone waltz in with a table or a tray of hot coffee. Hey, we got something to drink for you guys. Oops, spill it. So when you are going through something in your life, whether it's postpartum mood disorder or you're experiencing something that's causing a lot of change and you're having to deal with it, you're very vulnerable. And so people's opinions can sometimes cause a lot more damage when you're exposed like that. And so silencing those people, not cutting people out of your life, but not allowing them to speak into those certain areas of your life so that you can really focus on where you need to go to get healing. Because when you're listening to your authentic voice that we all have inside of us, you'll understand, okay, I need to do this to protect myself. I need to do this, because what those steps are is going to be different for each person. Some people, it may mean therapy, it may be books, it may mean education, it may mean a combination of things, fitness, nutrition, all of it is a combination. So I think when you are very particular about who you allow to speak into certain vulnerable areas of your life, is one of the best pieces of advice I can give to someone, and it's what I've actually taught myself to do.
Okay, good. And if you feel like you need help, then that's part of knowing who you are, and that's part of something you do for your own healing, is to go and pursue that. All right, well, we're going to fast forward in a moment to the next chapter of your life. You've started a new business. You're helping people, much like what we're talking about today with personal coaching. You also have a marketing background. So we're going to fast forward to that. Another baby, another choice in life, and more forward motion. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching GAB with ALisa with Monique Melton on MetroCast Channel 10.
Everybody knows Jeep is an American icon. It's fun on the road, off the road, to take you anywhere you want to go. Here at Fitzgerald, we have all the Jeep Chrysler models and our low posted price. There's no hassle, no haggle buying a car here. It's fun. Plus, it's backed up with Fitzway service.
Get 0% APR financing on almost every new 2015 Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep.
Treat yourself to an American icon. That's the Fitzway. There's just no better way to go.
Changing times brings changing needs. That's why, for your convenience, Booth's Heating and Air have extended their service hours to 10 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, at regular service rates. Through rigorous training classes and courteous business practices, Booth's technicians always go above and beyond to provide you with award-winning customer service that you can trust. Booth's Heating and Air, serving the Southern Maryland area since 1993.
You're watching GAB with ALisa on MetroCast Channel 10. Thanks so much for joining us as we continue our conversation with Monique Melton. In the last segment, you really made a point about listening to yourself and to what's going on inside of you. That's something that you've always done. Now, you've changed paths, you've changed careers, you've changed lifestyles, but you've always listened to yourself. And I think that at the end of your life, you're going to look back and go, woohoo! Really?
That's the plan.
I think that's what that phrase is going to encompass your whole life. But you're moving through and into a new stage now because of your love for looking inside of yourself and then helping people.
Yeah, because I think what happens is when you look inside and you're really honest with yourself, I think this is what happens with people. They don't like what they see, so they stop looking and they start covering it up.
Ooh.
And they're doing things. Sometimes they can be toxic things, sometimes they can be good things, but they'll do things to distract them from listening to that authentic voice, and they'll make more noise to where they can't even hear it.
Okay.
So and I know that because I've done it myself.
Okay.
So what I knew that I needed to do is I had silence. And it doesn't necessarily mean real silence. You can listen to music. But sometimes it is silence, but journaling and all that. But really when I decided to listen to that authentic voice that all of us have, and I want to teach my children the same thing, because as parents, sometimes unknowingly, I was just listening to this lady talk about this in a book she wrote, but unknowingly you can be silencing your own child's authentic voice, and they don't learn how to listen and make good decisions. So when on that journey, after having my daughter and doing the bridal show again, it was a great show, it was wonderful, but I just knew that I needed to take some time to really figure out what I needed to do for myself. And that's when I knew that when I look back at all my choices in my career and the different things that I've done in the industries and all that, at the very root of it, at the very core, at the very center, was helping people, really helping people achieve greatness. Even as a makeup artist, my clients, we would talk about personal things because people just naturally feel safe, because I guess what I try to do, I try to do it now because I'm aware that it's helpful, but I didn't even necessarily realize that's what I was doing. But I just really try to meet people where they are, without saying, you need to say it this way and you need to be this type of way. No, and I think when you're a makeup artist, you're putting someone in a vulnerable place.
It's very intimate, because if you're applying makeup, you are this far from someone.
I mean, we are best friends.
And you either are going to open up and share in conversation, or it's going to be incredibly awkward.
Right, and I hate awkward moments, so that's why I just talk to you.
When you approach clients now, because you come toward your clients or your friends or your people with the perspective of a marketing background, but also with just such a love and compassion for people in general, what do you try to accomplish?
Well, depending on what they want. I don't try to push my agenda on anyone, although I do know that there's a lot more peace in your life when you are doing what you are feeling passionate and purpose to do. So if I can help you do that and what that looks like for you, that's my goal. And so sometimes I talk to someone and I said, well, who are you? And she said, I don't know. Is it bad that I don't know? And so the immediate judgment's there. Now I'm judging myself because I don't even know who I am. And I'm like, no, it's not bad. It's good that you are acknowledging it. Now let's figure it out. And a good friend of mine told me the same thing. It's like when you're looking at yourself and you're seeing those things inside of you that you don't like, stop judging them. Stop causing face them so that you can move on. But if you stay in judgment, you'll have the shame, the guilt, and the regret, and you'll go on to those same type of tendencies that are distracting you from moving and listening to that authentic self.
Well, I think that to sum up your whole story is you've been really good at being self-aware, listening to yourself, what you want, how you want it, and doing it, pursuing it. But then the other thing, I think people tend to get stuck in a rut of safety. I'm going to do this because this is what I know how to do.
Right.
And I'm going to stay right here in my safe box, even though I'm unhappy, I don't like it.
Right.
The world is passing me by. But you, I think it's an incredibly unique gift to say, I'm done with this. I've conquered this. Let's go on to the next thing and toss off security and safety for what I want next. And I think that is probably a good thing to be able to share with people and pass on. So looking ahead for yourself, just 20 years, what do you hope to see for yourself, your family, your career in 20 years?
Well, in 20 years, because I've envisioned that already, because I'm just that kind of person.
She's got a blue piece of paper.
You know, it's probably pink this time because I love pink.
Because blue, right.
Yeah, blue didn't work for me.
Right.
So we'll see. I really I see myself in terms of my career on a larger platform so that I can be an inspiration and motivation for moms who have been where I was or right here where I am now or somewhere in between. Just to say, you know what, this is a safe place. You can be who you are, but don't get too comfortable because I want to challenge you to move outside of that. In terms of my personal life, I just really, for my children, I think I want them to be very confident. And I don't want anything else but that, because I can't say I want my son to be a doctor or my daughter to be a lawyer and all that, because that's not, I don't know if that's what they want, but I want them to pursue life with confidence. And that's something that as a child, they come here and you see these kids, they're so confident, they look so tacky, they don't care, they just love it, and they're happy. My daughter, she picks out her clothes and she looks a hot mess, but she's as happy as can be.
That's exactly right.
You know, and so she's moving forward thinking, you know what, and I look at them sometimes and I admire the freedom,
You betcha.
Not worrying about anything. They know mommy's taking care of them. And so for me, I'm a very spiritual person, so if I can have that kind of faith, knowing that I can move and make decisions knowing that God is taking care of me and this is all a part of the plan, oh my gosh, there's such a relief off your shoulders.
It's like having a blue piece of paper with a plan and then saying,
exactly.
Never mind.
Yep.
We got this.
And you know what's funny? It makes me think about something. And on that paper, this is what it would say. I asked my son the other day, I said, what do you think God wants mommy to know? Because he's something. I love that boy. But he said to trust him. So on that blue piece of paper, it would just say, trust him.
There you go. That's a good piece of paper to hang on to. That's a good plan. All right, Monique, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing some really deep things, some very personal things. We're all the same, but we're all different. We all go through things that are challenging for our lives.
Absolutely.
And we have different paths, but it's always good to know that there's somebody that has gone before and is willing to come along with.
Exactly. And can I say one thing? Chris, I love you so much. So do not misinterpret anything you heard here. I'm so in love with you.
That would be her husband, whom she married in college and wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't change a thing. He's amazing.
Most people do a shout out to their moms, so way to go. Shout out to the hubby.
Yes, I love my boo.
There you go. That's going to do it for this episode of GAB with ALisa. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. You're watching MetroCast Channel 10.